Your job then.
Call the meeting to order. To stand for the pledge, please. Mr. Ludington, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
You guys are getting really good.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Three of our members are not able to be here, so meeting's been called to order. Any public comment? I see no public here for that. Committee reports. Dan?
Not much. We had an animal meeting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, so
A meeting about animals, or we're actually meeting with animals?
good job.
About
animals.
animals.
Okay, just
I
checking.
don't think Augie's only have one in the courthouse. That's
Just,
what
I'm
we're meeting.
envisioning Dan with a bunch of cats around him reading through an agenda.
I got people
Meeting
stuff
today.
morning too. Probably main thing will be, talk about food supply for the year. I know we have volunteer for 6 months, but after that, I don't know, so. But it is in the budget, the extra money, so,
For 6 months or for a year?
for 6 months. Because we have volunteers who donate for 6 months. Kind of been trying to get hold of Andrea, but she's always seemed to be gone, so
How's her injury progressing, or her recovery rather?
I haven't talked to her. So I assume all right, she's still working, so.
Not to violate any personal private information, but her status and her she's going to move down a different road now. She's found another avenue to go and have her knee looked at, and I think there'll be some action taken on that,
Been a while.
as
She's done
opposed to
something
just
before now.
hobbling along.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Other than that, nothing.
John?
Water still can't get to drainage ditches.
Huh?
I'm the drainage commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Ground's frozen. I don't have anything going.
Phil?
Nothing here. Is the weed superintendent here?
No.
You mean the warden?
The warden, weed
Thistle
warden?
warden.
Show
No.
some, show some respect to the warden of the weeds.
Is that you?
No.
I'm gonna apply for that job when I retire.
Derek, what you got?
No updates. I say I was promised from the state some sort of change to the FAA's position, but I've yet to hear anything. I'll try to harass him sometime this week and then see if there's been any movement on our beacon project. I imagine with the climbing up towers in this kind of weather, but I'll get an update from Tom.
I assume you've talked to low bid and they're scheduled to do it when.
That was the direction I gave Tom last, was go ahead and proceed. We've got the
Yeah.
green light, so.
There's a room right there, Chris Patrick got a used beacon, if you want to put up out there. Is that-
Yeah.
I just want to urge you to, but
No, we discussed it. It was, I was given that offer. We looked at it, and frankly, the cost. So they were willing to give us the beacon, but we would have to install it. No guarantees on it. It's an old model, so and the cost of the actual. This new light is LED, is my understanding. So electricity cost. So all in, it wasn't going to be really any kind of cost savings. And so we went with a new one that would have some sort of, plus we'd already been a long way down the road of the paperwork on the other side. So that was what led to our decision, but yeah, that was offered.
I just hope you
You and your rumor mill, you gotta get away from that water cooler, get back to work. You know what I'm
can. I can't. Had a heart attack the other day, 4 weeks off.
saying? You had a heart attack the other day? Well, shit.
Yeah.
You didn't know he had a heart, did you?
Yeah, I just figured it was a ice.
No, no,
I'm glad you're still with us.
yeah, me too. The
He's
alternative,
almost 80.
the alternative is worse.
Maybe it's time to start looking at clean living, have a few more salads, a little less
I
whiskey.
thought about that too.
You know?
Did give up my donuts.
That's a start, I guess.
It
So
killed
what
me.
caused the heart attack?
No, I fell out bad.
Had a,
Okay.
had a glaze right there lodged in his
What, you got bunk beds or what?
Three slips. and
These
go
are
back
big.
for
I thought
some
we're past
more.
that teenage stage of bunk
It's
beds.
falling apart. Yeah, I'm here.
You're here. Energizer Bunny.
Carl's got a cold, can't show up. You had a heart attack one day. I hope you give him a sufficient amount of crap when he gets back.
Dedication and commitment.
That's right.
That's right.
Blood might offer to give you a heart transplant if you need one.
No, I do have a heart attack, found out.
Sheriff, you got anything for us?
Not a thing.
How, we talked about trying to work on the list of things going at the jail, you know, projects needing to be finished and all that. How's that going? Is anything,
Well,
I assume not much has been done over the
not,
holidays, but.
not lately. We had a bunch of that welding done. Plumbers have been in there. They come in, done a lot of measuring, and we're gonna rebuild some toilets and stuff instead of, we're just, you know, piece here and a piece there and a piece there, and they come in there and got some numbers, and they're gonna order all new, basically all new guts for them.
Just tear it out and do it right. Yeah.
Rebuild them. And the welder's he kind of prefabbing everything so he can come in and start welding again instead of just working here and then going to the shop, working a couple of days.
Yeah,
Who's your plumber, Jeff?
We usually have dyes.
Harvey?
Harvey usually, yeah.
My son will be helping you out. That's good. Harvey's good.
But he just seems to know that old stuff.
Well, he is old.
Wow. That's reason.
He's gonna have knee surgery here pretty soon, so he's gonna be out of commission.
we
But
got
his-
some good guys working
We got
for
some-
us.
my son works for him, and he'll probably run the show. I don't know how good that's gonna be, because I can't get him to do anything. But I don't pay him either.
It's amazing how sons work better for other people, isn't
Oh,
it?
yes.
Yeah,
Well, I really can't.
I've noticed that one over the years.
Harvey seems very happy with him, and Harvey doesn't like anybody, so.
Good?
That's it, yep.
All right, county clerk.
That's you.
I emailed out Friday, and I believe it went out, the agenda and a sample policy for prohibition of sexual harassment. Now, I went back into the office yesterday to finish up, and our email, our whole computer system was down. So, but now it's back up again when I left. So as far as the agenda is concerned, all the standard things that we normally do, we get to the highway. He's already told you about the 2 resolutions that are gonna be presented. There's a drainage commissioner gonna be appointed, and we got 2 properties from our tax agent, that we're gonna get put back on the books. And other than that, I do want to spend a few minutes going over this new policy that we're supposed to have in place by January 15th. And rather than mail the entire policy out, I went ahead and typed up a summary, and I will need to we'll just go down through this. It shouldn't take us all that long. Okay. As I mentioned, that the Illinois General Assembly recently enacted legislation that requires all units of all units of government
Kind of screws me over.
to
So to speak.
to officially adopt a policy prohibiting sexual harassment by January 15th. So we're going to meet on the 10th. So we'll get ours in. And we currently have a personnel policy, and in that big thing, there is a whole chapter devoted to sexual harassment. But what the new law provides for expanded definitions of harassment, which now would include the social media things, sexting, those types of things.
I'm just hanging on, brother. We're being taped, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing that the new law does, it expands the whistleblower provisions. So, obviously, to make the offended person feel more at ease with confiding in whoever. And then there's also some monetary penalties available. As I mentioned, we had our organizations, Illinois Association of County Board Members, UCCI, and that's United Counties Council of Illinois, and then also our insurance carrier, Illinois County Risk Management Trust. All three have provided model ordinances and sample policies for us.
In
And
compliance with the new law.
they're all in compliance. They were drafted by their attorneys and put out for county's use. I've sent those to Mark, and he and I have been working on this. Everything, the new policies, everything that our old policy says is in there, plus the expansion that I mentioned. And they're really the only issue that the board needs to decide is the proper procedure. I'm gonna say proper. The procedure for filing a complaint,
Step by step. You
step by step.
Yeah. You
Now,
got 2 steps here, and then you got questions on the rest of them.
yes. So the first two, all the model or sample policies say direct communication with the offender. Okay. So in other words, you just got to tell them to stop. You're uncomfortable.
The supervisor's gonna tell
No,
No,
the
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 offender.
person who,
The
the person
victim.
who was offended.
yes, the
Okay.
victim needs.
Offended needs to direct to the
Yeah.
offender.
If Augie offends you, you have to
Stop
tell
touching my
Augie you're
knee in
offended.
meetings. It's really uncomfortable.
And
You caught me, huh?
then
Don't make me tell Jeff.
He'd
next
like it.
step, consult, talk to your immediate supervisor. That's common throughout all the sample
Is there
policies.
some sort of proviso in there that if the immediate supervisor is the offending party, that to go around, right?
Yes, then that would be number 3. There are different versions. This is where it differs a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
One says the next level of supervision. Another policy says the governing board of the unit of government. Another one specifically mentions various elected officials.
I feel like the way our organization is set up, there's very few second order supervisors.
Exactly, exactly.
And so I would say also that I wouldn't want that individual to have to approach the board as a body to start with. So I would say some sort of committee
That's why you have
or
a
some
line-
individual
a
that's
line of
responsible.
authority.
Yeah.
Right. So then I would say that what makes most sense to me, just kind of looking at this first brush, would be some sort of committee member or a dedicated member of the board that is the person that is the
Or
next layer of the chain.
Would there
Next
be
link of the chain.
one department or elected official that would be better off to handle it? Sheriff's departments,
Well, most of
not
the departments
perfect, but just as an example.
have their supervisors.
Or, the county clerk, or,
Like I said, one of the sample policies says that. Another one, it doesn't say that. Our state's attorney is reluctant to recommend that it would be an elected official, because technically elected officials are not employees of the county. But yet, it's the elected officials who control their own department who have the authority to hire and fire. And so, in all of this, there's different ways you could put it together. I have talked to a couple of chief deputies. That would be maybe the next level of supervision, where the victim, after they did the first step, second step, then go to a chief deputy. There's some reluctance on a couple of the chief deputies that I spoke
Why
with.
wouldn't you go to the sheriff? He's in charge.
You're talking about department deputies.
I'm talking about, yeah, not sheriff deputies.
Oh, I
I'm
just said
sorry, I'm
deputies.
sorry. We call people in our office as deputies.
We say every
Deputy
department
clerk.
we have has a supervisor, right? Of some sort.
Yes, whether, yeah, now
That's
for
the-
example,
That's the
in,
next line.
in my
If it
office,
happens in your office, you're first in line.
would be second in line.
Who's first?
Well, would be, you've got the employee,
Right.
and then I have chief deputies. Okay, and then me.
Hmm.
Because chief
I
deputy
understand that.
supervisor of the employee. right?
So that chief deputy is a supervisor. So
Every department have that, or at least the big
not,
ones?
well,
Because that could be a pretty good shade of gray.
yes. A department that would have two individuals, the treasurer and his chief deputy.
Mhm.
That's it. Animal shelter has one full-time and one part-time. The airport has one. So
Two, if you, Dave.
two if you, well, that's right, two if you look at it like that. So my recommendation would be to word it such that you have individual directly communicates to the offender. There's no action there. Then you go to the immediate supervisor, which may be the department head, but would be mostly common would be a chief deputy. And then for number 3, I would put next level of supervision.
So in your office, that would be you.
That would be me. And then the final step would be county board.
Is there any of those policies that had some sort of outside, like victims advocate
Yes.
type
If
thing?
they're, okay, tying up the summary down here, I think that the goal, I would think that the goal in a situation like this, and God forbid it happens, is to keep it within the confines of the employer. Meaning, let's hope there's some resolution at the very first step. And at the very, you got all these steps, but ultimately, the victim could bypass
Fine.
all of this
Yeah, right.
and go right to the state of Illinois,
Right.
Illinois Department of Human Resources, and
Right.
EEOC. You get involved with the state.
And I guess let me
and the
clarify, when
federal.
I said outside party, I meant within the county government, right? So,
Well, and
for example, our command in the military, every command had a uniformed victims advocate that you could go to. That was somebody that may or may not be in your chain. They were selected by the command, so a staff NCO and an officer that basically was there. So any department anywhere had an issue inside the command, they would go there first and then take and that was a way to avoid the issue of immediate supervisor if that person is the person that caused the issue in the first place.
And
So that might actually expedite the process. Sorry, John. That would expedite the process because it's a one point of contact. Everybody knows who it is. There's an issue, they meet, and then that person knows how to take it from there. So that's more responsibility on to the shoulders of one individual, but it also might expedite the process and be the best way for someone that has an issue to get it out and not worry about what's my supervisor going to think or the person above me. So that may be something to explore.
And I was wondering on that line if HRC might be able to provide that, because they're outside of the county government, but they're also affiliated and there's some funding and all of that, and that is their bailiwick. That they may have somebody.
What?
I had to throw a word in for you.
But, also you got, one of these deputies are gonna be consistent from one department to another. One person maybe jump right on it and get it done, the other person, doesn't wanna deal with it, and, that kind of sort of, everybody's different.
I've had some meetings with Mark, and we've also included another individual who's had experience with HR, and this process, the steps, that could be as what's the word I'm looking for? It's so, it could be different. I mean, it's so wide out there, and I don't know that there's any one way better than another. But I mentioned HRC,
Okay.
and he said, well, now you're talking about counseling. If that person needs counseling.
Well, they provide a lot of services outside of counseling.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what he said.
Right.
And he said, but where do you've got to follow the proper steps in order to ultimately find resolution. And
We don't have an HR person, do we, in the county?
no, by default, we don't, because we're linear.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's nobody, we don't have a county administrator
Okay.
with full authority. But HR seems to default to my office.
Yeah.
The keeper of the records, and we enroll in IMRF, and we set people up on their health insurance, and we maintain all that, and we could function as an HR department if we had some more resources,
Right.
okay? So,
Yeah, it's just we're so convoluted and spread out, and like linear's good, but
He's got that
That's
long
not even a
paper
big
with
one.
words on it.
Big words have been ubiquitous in this series of meetings.
now,
but I mean, I can see where it would be nice for the person filing if we had, one person where they would know to go. You talk to the person, you talk to the immediate supervisor, then you talk to, Bob or, just a
Yeah.
next step that's solid, because where do you go after, who's your next
That's my point.
supervisor?
You don't have an HR person.
see ya.
Yeah, am I gonna screw up the meeting by leaving?
No, because we'll pick up the conversation
You're
Wednesday.
not getting paid for leave early.
Take off the
As long as you
$5.
pay me if you're late.
Take it out of the phone charges at the phone jar. I'll just pull it out of there.
Okay, will do.
You know,
See you guys.
we certainly, see you later, we certainly wouldn't want to burden the
No,
victim.
that's, yeah.
And so I don't think we should have very many steps in here.
We have like
But you,
three, hospital has 1, 2, 3 at the hospital.
Well, I know
You do
that,
have-
as in school, it came straight to me. And then above me was the superintendent,
yeah.
Right.
and then the board.
Mhm.
The board does have an offices committee.
We
Now,
do.
I don't know who's on that off the top of my head, but that is a possibility.
I think, yeah, the board, someplace in 4 or 5, ultimately it is the board, but
Eventually, it will
seems
get
nice
to
to
the
have a step below that.
Yes,
Right.
yeah,
It's always nice to get it resolved sooner than that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, because then it's public record,
Yep.
Well, if you
you've
do
got
closed
names
session,
in the paper.
Personnel and closed session.
Well, that's
then
true, but
You do.
But it gets out anyway,
Oh, well, so.
So, I think if what I'm hearing you, that maybe step number 3 really needs to be sort of
the specific person.
a specific person or title where you could even leapfrog, but where that there should and hopefully will be some resolution there.
Now, could you appoint somebody within the county as, act as like an HR person? Would be
The
step
board-
number 3,
the-
one to.
The chairman can appoint,
I can't
That's what I'm
imagine
saying.
anybody
Anybody.
wanting to do that job.
and I
Yeah,
can't
that's
imagine
a-
anybody
yeah.
wanting to do that. That's why, when I talked to a couple of chief deputies, not sheriff's deputies, they were very reluctant
Oh, yeah.
to be
I can
included
People, they
in.
don't wanna get involved in
understand.
it.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a confrontation, and
absolutely.
people don't like it.
Well,
They're
yeah,
not
we're-
used to dealing with it. It's upsetting.
Yeah, we're sitting here as a board going, no, we want to be at the end of it, so,
Yeah.
prime example.
Now, I know Dan's got a heart we can,
Now,
Yeah.
I've been involved in these things many times, and it's not very pleasant.
now here's the transparency. Here's the option. You got 2 choices. We come up with something for Wednesday and you pass it.
That's too early.
However, now you've got four
Half
I'd
of
like
them
to-
gone.
that are
I'd like to
gone.
hear, I would like to hear these other guys' opinions on it too.
And even though we would not be in compliance with the law by January 15th,
At least we talked about it.
we've made our best effort to discuss it. We can't help it that people are sick and can't make it, and I would think we would rather do it accurately and correctly rather than just to pass something for the sake of passing
And I
something.
can see us doing it at the last meeting of this month and passing it the next month in February.
Okay,
Makes sense to me, because these guys all have their own opinions.
absolutely.
And that would give, if, I think we're all kind of in agreement that there needs to be a set position, set person to go to, and, if you and Mark and maybe Jeff even can just sit, think about who. I mean, I have no clue in the county government where that one
Would it
should
be somebody
fall.
on this board?
It could be.
I can do it. I can take a lot of crap.
Well, I was gonna say,
Wouldn't bother me.
I've had a lot of experience with this.
It would bother.
Well,
Well, you do good.
The only problem with having it as a board member with a 4-year term is lack of consistency.
Two-year term. Could be, some on 2-year terms, some on 4 years. So
Well, that's
it'd be
true.
Changing.
That's right.
But,
Mine's
if it
2 years.
has a position where whoever has that position it
Well,
falls
I think
under.
that's just the luck of the draw there. Like, after 4 years, you switch people, somebody else does it.
What do you say I reach out to Ken Polkey?
I'd very, very much in
At
favor,
least
because if
maybe
he'd
he'll
be,
give us
A name?
some advice
Yeah, give us
or
a name
or a
or
different
something.
direction that we haven't even thought of.
Right.
yeah, I think that'd be
Who's he?
great.
He's the head of HRC,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and director of HRC.
Yeah, because I could see somebody there. I am sure they have somebody on staff that knows all the state regs and what direction to go, and would be willing to work with the county for us to resolve it rather than, I'm not saying put the person into counseling or go straight to the state, but
Okay.
It's pretty touchy.
and we may have to pay HRC a small fee to provide that service.
That's what we'll do. I'll report back Wednesday. I do have your packets here.
I have one thing before we,
Oh, okay.
last week I noticed, I went in the courthouse and all the sidewalks inside the wall to the courthouse were all nice, clean, no snow. All the sidewalks on the outside of the wall were snow covered and not clean. Did we talk last year about who's
I
responsible
always thought
for
this,
cleaning the sidewalks around the courthouse?
somebody mentioned that at the last meeting,
We was talking about it the other day, and
that we're responsible for the walk around the courthouse.
Around the
but
They were nice.
on the city,
They were really
part
clean
of the
there.
city.
The city is responsible for the outside sidewalks around the courthouse. Because remember, we had a big discussion last year.
I
about
thought it was the county. And the city was responsible for across the street by the
Well,
buildings.
we thought it was from the wall out to the streets, was responsible to the city, and we're responsible for all the sidewalks within the wall.
Within
Well, that would make more sense.
I don't know, but they were not cleaned that on. You
Not at
probably
all.
noticed too.
Not at all. Right.
It's
Not even
dangerous for us
touched.
old people.
Well, if somebody falls, who's liable? County or the city? I don't know, I just,
You both gonna get named soon, probably.
yeah, I know.
It won't matter.
But I noticed also the sidewalks across the street were not cleaned either, so city didn't clean hardly any of the sidewalks.
I used to see the city guys on one of those little tractors
Yeah.
getting all those walks
There's
around the
something's gonna be
square,
resolved. I
down
think,
by the
because-
restaurants, but they haven't done that
No.
lately. Somebody might wanna ask Mr.
Yeah.
Smith about it.
There have been, I know that issue has gone back and forth, and as many as you talk to, half are gonna say one way and half the other. And it's a given that the county is responsible for inside that wall.
Right. And they were nice and
There's
clean.
no disagreement there, but it's that sidewalk out to that city
Well, how do
street.
you
And if
find
we're
this out?
responsible for it, so be it, we can take care of it, but
Right.
somebody
Right.
needs to know who is.
Right.
Gary, do you know?
Bob did a great job on the sidewalks into the courthouse. I mean,
And you, well, it's a lot of work just to get
Oh,
our
yeah,
sidewalks
right.
done. I don't know how you could hardly expect him to get
That's
all
right.
of
That's
those
my
done.
point.
Then by the time you get to sidewalks and steps and
Yeah.
Now,
landings and
Yeah, then it's snowing again.
time to start over.
And we didn't have a big snow yet either.
Yep.
That was-
I know in the past, one year, the highway came and helped
Mhm.
out.
But you can't ask them
Big
to do it all
snow.
the time.
Oh, no, because they're busy doing.
Right.
Yeah, they were picking the snow
That's
up
something
off the
we
road,
need
so
to,
there
we
was
need to get
room.
resolved one way or the other, who does it.
I'll make a phone call.
Okay. Used to have prisoners, we could have do that. I don't think make them do that anymore, kid.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, we haven't got.
No shovel.
I
I'm loaning you
I come up
shovels.
with enough shovels.
Oh, they buy shovels, that's no
Really?
problem.
Give them spatulas or something.
Yeah,
Something Rubbermaid spatulas. Let them keep them busy.
give them something to do in their spare time. I was thought.
No, we have used prisoners in the past who will do sidewalks.
I know we talked about last year, never did make a decision, I don't
Right.
think, who's responsible.
Okay, that's all I have. Ready to adjourn?
Yeah,
Yep.
ready.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Can we adjourn? We didn't have a quorum to.
We're gonna have to adjourn, we're gonna stay there until Wednesday.